This is a 2000 Ford Explorer with the rear latch. Zoom out so you can see where I'm at. And the rear latch just doesn't work at all. So what we've done, we've taken off the back piece of trim, and let me show you. There's clips in the top of it, so you can just pull the top out. Okay, and then you have to lift up. Oh, first you got to take these screws out. There's a pull, and you can see some screws on the back side of that. So you take those out, and then you lift up. So see these little guides right there. So that you have to lift this up that way to get it off. Okay, so now that that is off, you expose the back. This is an upside down view of it. And okay, so now there's two sides to this thing. This is the side that's easier to see through this hole. It really doesn't focus. That one doesn't do anything, but there's a twin. The one you can see that's right in the middle of the screen. It's in focus now. That one doesn't do anything. The important one is on the other side, and it's right there. I'm going to try to put it mostly in the center of the screen. Aha! Okay, so that's the problem right there. Now you see right behind there, right where that black thing appears to be touching it, that is a threaded rod. Now on that threaded rod fits this piece of plastic. And the threaded rod goes right through there, and then this goes through the hole on the thing you see moving right there. That's the pull. Okay, excuse the noise, it's really hot. I've got the fan running. So I don't think I can buy one of these from the Ford place. I think they want to sell me a lot of stuff with it, like a whole kit. So what I'm thinking about doing is just maybe making a piece like this, where this might be plastic or aluminum, and I can find out what size thread that is. That's a M6 by 1, by the way. So it's a metric 6mm, 1 thread per millimeter, pretty standard size. And so if I get a piece of plastic, maybe I can just tap this with the M6. My hand is shaking. And then actually just use a screw to put through that black thing you saw moving, and then latch into this. There's plenty of room in there to make this part bigger than the original yellow piece. So it shouldn't be a problem. I've got some plastic that would be good for this, but I'm not sure I don't really have a great saw to cut it. So I went to Lowe's, and I found this aluminum bar. It's not quite thick enough, but I think I can cut it and thread 2 of these together, basically to make something like this. And so what I'm going to do is basically mark off about the right length of this. Excuse my dirty hands, I've been changing oil. And I have a chop saw, so we can just cut this, there's no problem. And then I got a 6mm drill and tap, $8 from Lowe's. And I got some variety of stainless M6 screws, hex head, and some nuts. I'm not really sure which ones I need, but I'm pretty sure that'll do what I need to do. So I'm going to go cut these a little bit, cut off 2 pieces and see if I can stack them together, maybe screw them together and make something similar to this. So I've already cut one piece, and I'm just using a manual saw, which is not the best, but it'll do. The little bad boy is hot. We'll put it under some water, and I'll clean off the edges and sand these things down to fit together, and then we'll see what we can do with them. Okay, so that's what we've got. This turned out to be a lot harder than I thought. So I've got the two pieces, and those holes should be exactly lined up, at least on the top. It's more important for the top because that's going to be a single threaded hole. So that one actually looks the best. The bottom one will work because the top hole is so large, unless it's pass through. Okay, so let's go over this one more time. So this is the original part, and I said I was going to make something kind of like that right there. So this is it. Now ignore this screw here, because all that's doing is holding these two blocks together. So the threaded rod from the car, and my little pointer, threaded rod in the car is going to come through here, and then this screw, I'm going to insert it through the black thing. So the black thing is going to be sitting right here, and so when that rod moves, then it moves the black thing as well, which is the same principle that this thing used. The rod is floppy, so I'm not really worried about the differences in dimensions here. I think there's enough slop in the system to take care of that. So let's see if it fits. A lot of things seem virtually impossible when you start to do them. Like this. I mean, with one hand, what are the chances I can thread that thing in here? But you just got to keep trying. Okay. It really wasn't hard to get it on there. I just had to get to where I could see it. Let's see. Okay, so see the threaded rod? Boy, you can barely see it, but I'm turning it and it's threaded onto that rod. So I'm actually sitting on the bumper and closed the lid, or closed the tailgate on myself. Let's see if I can see. Oh, what a beautiful angle. Oh, there it is. Okay, so there it is, and so it's threaded on there far enough. And now for step 2 is to get a screw through that hole my thumb is pointing to right there, and screwed into the side of this thing. Okay, I do not recommend this to anybody. This has taken way too long. I've had to rework that little piece a couple times, put more holes in it. Here's the rod, threaded rod, and here's the aluminum piece, so it's going into the aluminum piece. And then I've got this Allen head screw right there, going through the black thing into that aluminum part. So it's sort of mocking up that yellow piece. I'm just going to finish tightening it up and then try it. We can check out the functionality. Seems to work pretty well. One thing we did figure out, since this thing has been broken so long, if you have this window opening feature, then what you can do, if I move the camera around, hopefully I'm looking at it right now, but here's the mechanism that opens the latch, or opens the hatch. So if you pull the handle, that's what happens. Or if you pull the string, it also will open the door. So what we're going to do is cut a hole in the trim for the string to go through as a backup plan in case the little part that we just put on there fails. So we can still open the entire hatch by opening the window and then pulling on the string. If I had it to do all over again, which I might potentially do that, but not anytime soon. Here's what I would do. I would go find a piece of aluminum 3/8 inch wide and get it about a 1/2 inch deep. And I would, and the height doesn't really matter all that much after my bad assumption was that I had plenty of real estate to work with, and that I could sort of move the piece at will to line up with the hole in the latch. Well, that wasn't really all that true. So here's what I would do. I would get this piece of aluminum about like this and drill and tap this hole in it and go ahead and screw it on without a second hole in it. And actually I did this, I didn't show it in the video, but I did this with the part I made. And just get a Sharpie or something and you can go install this thing. So remember, the threaded rod goes through here, the rod of the car. And then just push it up against the black lever and mark on here on this back face where the hole should go. And that'll be a lot easier. And you just do it one time. And so the 1/2 inch here, I've got some notes here. So I don't think this height is critical. I think you got a lot of space in that direction. It's not really that important. But the 1/2 inch is important because it starts getting in the way of the latch itself. The latch, if this piece is too long, that black thing actually has a little jog in it, and this edge starts to come into play. And so you keep this about a 1/2 inch. Actually, this could be thicker as well. The 3/8 is a minimum, so it could be a 1/2 by a 1/2. I think the only other thing is that this could be a through hole right here. So if you do that, then you can just put a screw through and put a nut on it. A lock nut or something like that would be fine. Or you can just go ahead, since you got to tap this thing anyway, you really don't have much choice there. Just go ahead and do this one as well. And then put a screw through here and maybe put on a nut on the back side. If you saw the configuration that I actually had no nut on the back side because I was holding the two pieces together with another screw that was in the way. And so I end up putting some caulk on there. Hopefully it won't back out. But if it does, I've got the string on there as plan B. So I don't think the height is critical. If you have two pieces like I did, what I would do again is make this as long as you need it to be, and put the 1 or 2 screws somewhere down here out of the way that clamp the two pieces together. So that's what I would use smaller. I just get like a 3mm tap or something like that. It's important though that this hole not intersect this hole, these threads where the threaded rod is going to be screwed into. So you got to have some distance here, D, that's not 0. It needs to be something small, would be fine. But those two things just can't intersect. So I think that about covers it all. So if any of you guys want to try this, definitely don't just build it and hope that it works. I would start with something like this. And actually it's not too hard. I installed and uninstalled my part on the threaded rod probably 5 times. It seems like it's going to be really hard to get going, but actually you just work it and you can actually get it. Now if your hands are super big, that may be a whole different story. It's going to be a lot difficult. I probably have medium-sized hands, and so I can fit them in there okay. But if you have big hands, I mean, it's going to be almost impossible, I think. But anyway, that's my recommendation for how I would do it next time.